How's it going, everyone? Blueknight here, and welcome back to another Crash Bandicoot video, as the moment that we've all been waiting for has finally come. Crash Bandicoot's next adventure has been officially revealed. Bandicoot fans from everywhere, I would like to present to you Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time.
Crash Bandicoot, you banished me to the past. But all it did was give me more time to plan your doom.
How many times have you beaten this clown anyway?
3.
Really? Only 3? Funny. Seemed like more.
Oh, where do I even begin with this? Besides, it's really been about time that we've gotten an entirely new Crash game. But this trailer is not only insane, but it really blew away all of my expectations that I had regarding a new Crash game. I mean, wow! This is amazing! The graphics and everything look absolutely fantastic. It's like we're looking at a Spyro game, but with Crash Bandicoot instead. And I still can't unsee the resemblance to Reignited's Fireworks Factory at the very beginning. And also Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I'm definitely getting vibes from that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start breaking down this trailer and go over all the information that we know so far. The game itself is planned to be released on October 2nd, 2020. For both the PS4 and Xbox One for a $60 price tag. It's a bit more pricey than the Insane Trilogy, Reignited Trilogy, or Crash Team Racing, but this is a full-fledged new Crash game after all, so this was to be expected. The Xbox One version is compatible with the Xbox Series X, and if you buy the game digitally, you get some exclusive, totally tubular skins, whereas the PS4 version doesn't say anything about being compatible with the PS5, and by the looks of it, there's no sign of a Switch or PC port just yet. However, they are still evaluating additional platforms for a future date. But, just as with Spyro Reignited, I'm sure those ports will arrive by at least next year. Speaking of Reignited, Crash 4 is also being developed by none other than Toys for Bob. And wait a second, Toys for Bob? Alright, that's actually pretty cool. And it also explains the fresh, new art style that's still faithful to the Crash Bandicoot series. But now I have to ask who's going to be developing the next Spyro if Toys for Bob is working on Crash. But that might be for another time. The game's rating is E10+. Now, I actually wasn't expecting some of what I seen listed included in a Crash game, as it lists comic mischief, language, alcohol reference, and cartoon violence. Now, if I recall correctly, this is kinda similar to the rating that Crash of the Titans received back during its launch. Now, we get to see the characters' redesigns for the game, starting with Crash, who looks really good and way more expressive in this more cartoony and less 4K style. I mean, look at how terrified Crash looks here. It's official, this is my new favorite design for Crash, as he looks straight out of an animated movie. The bottom soles of Crash's shoes now have these paw prints on them, with this being a rather nice callback to the Crash of the Titans era of Crash games. Oh, and Crash apparently knows how to use a smartphone now, so there's that. We also get to see the new redesign for Cortex, who's resembling a bit of his Crash of the Titans design, and I honestly don't mind. Speaking of Cortex, he is playable in this game, as we can see Cortex creating these platforms that he can traverse across with his trusty ray gun, or blaster, whichever you prefer. But oh man, Cortex's sections already look far better than the ones in Twinsanity. And speaking of Twinsanity, when Cortex pulls out this remote, immediately what came to my mind was the scene in Twinsanity where Cortex's remote to open the door would not work. It's these little callbacks to previous games that I really appreciate. Coco's design looks different. When I first saw her, I was kind of mixed on her design, more specifically with this image of her face, reminding me a little bit of Ratchet and Clank. I just can't unsee that, to be honest. But after seeing this trailer way more times than reasonably needed, I've really come to really like her design. And it's probably one of my favorite Coco designs, as she now has a pair of goggles, a heart patch, and a utility belt. Injin also got a new design with, again, much more personality than what we've seen from him in the series. This is another favorite redesign for me. I should also mention that, similar to Titans, music seems to be a central theme of his boss battle. We got Aku Aku following Crash while grind railing, which is a new feature in this game similar to what's used in the Ratchet and Clank series, but Crash can also go from grinding to grabbing the rail to avoid obstacles by going under them. It's a really neat mechanic alongside other skills that Crash and Coco can utilize, like rope swinging from Titans and wall running like the Parker mechanics in Sonic Lost World. Now speaking of obstacles, the characters aren't the only ones that got redesigns, as even the Nitro crates now have just the letter N on them as opposed to the word Nitro from the Insane trilogy. Oh, and the water jetboard sections from Crash 2 also make a return, and they look faster and even better than ever, as it really gives off that style that Toys for Bob has been known for with both Skylanders and Spyro Reignited, and I absolutely love it. Same for every other location in the game, which appear to be linear levels, just like the traditional Crash Bandicoot levels, except much more expanded than the typical formula, with some open hub world looking areas that connect all the linear levels. At least that's what I can gather from screenshots like this one of the pirate level. Now I've been looking through different interviews and I believe that they took inspiration from how Crash 1 progressed, so I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. Now we come to the main focus of the game, and that is the new masks, known as the Quantum Masks, who are 4 powerful guardians of space and time that give Crash and Coco the power to bend the rules of reality and conquer dangerous obstacles in exciting new ways. All 4 masks appear on the cover art, which, by the way, looks really cool, while 3 of the masks can be seen in the actual trailer, one of them being called Kaouna-Wa, also known as the Time Mask, who can slow down time to help Crash and Coco get across areas with ridiculously fast-moving obstacles that you couldn't normally get across, while also allowing you to be able to touch the very hazardous Nitro crates without losing, so that relieves a lot of stress, especially if they hop in this game like the Insane Trilogy. The other mask that was shown off was called Ika Ika, or Ika Ika, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, who's known as the Gravity Mask, with 2 faces depending on if you're upside down or right side up, again allowing Crash and Coco to avoid obstacles by changing their center of gravity. The third mask that we see, we don't know his abilities or name just yet, but it appears that we have to rescue him from this humongous spectral creature, which looks absolutely awesome for a new take on these iconic chase levels. We also got a T-Rex. What else can I say? And for those wondering, these masks are not redesigned versions of the elemental masks from Wrath of Cortex. They're completely new. These masks, when used, not only give Crash and Coco new abilities, but also change their appearances with new costumes or skins, whichever term you prefer. And again, this is a really cool feature that sort of reminded me of the Wisp mechanic in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, although with much more control over the respective abilities. Now we get to the story part of the game, which by the way picks up right where Warped left off. Here's the information regarding the story. Rewinding time back to the end of Crash Bandicoot Warped, Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time picks up after Neo Cortex, Dr. Entropy, and Uka Uka were last stranded on a distant planet. After decades of fruitless attempts, the trio finally make their escape, ripping an evil scientist-sized hole in the fabric of space-time in the process. Now all that stands between them and total dominion over the multiverse are two fuzzy marsupials from Insanity Island. As for this being titled Crash 4, it's explained in Canadian Guy A's interview with Toys for Bob's Paul Yan, saying, "For us, chronologically, that's where the events pick up. But this game is called Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. And there are multiple timelines in this multiverse. The other events that happened after Crash Warped, they did happen. They may have happened in alternate timelines, and those may be reflected in some ways in this, but this is a game that picks up right after Crash 3 Warped. So this game takes place in its own timeline that takes place after Warped, while the other post-Warp games did happen, just in alternate timelines separate from this one, at least to my understanding. And I think that one joke at the end of the trailer seems to refer to this fact.
How many times have you beaten this clown anyway?
3.
Really? Only 3? Funny. Seemed like more.
The levels that we got to see included are a pirate level, a future level, oh look, a CTR reference, a Mega Mix Mania-esque level, a level that appears to be an ocean floor above the water's surface. Okay, this strongly reminds me a bit of Shelmont's Shores from Skylanders Imaginators, which was another game that Toys for Bob developed. An icy cave-like level, which reminds me a bit of, well, ice caves from Spyro Reignited. A space station with what appears to be an enemy that looks to be the same species as nitrous oxide. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And last but certainly not least, a prehistoric level with, of course, dinosaurs. Enough said, I'm sold. Also, the game seems to support multiplayer, but how that'll work, we're not quite sure just yet. And one other tidbit I should mention is that the team seems to imply that there will be more playable characters outside of just Crash, Coco, and Cortex, as to gain alternate perspectives into how our Bandicoot heroes are saving the world one shimmy dance at a time. And to be honest, that sounds pretty cool. But who will these playable characters be? Well, we don't know that just yet, but I'll go out on a limb here and guess that one of them will be Nina Cortex, because why not? Or better yet, Spyro the Dragon. After all, in Canadian Guy A's interview with Toys for Bob's Paul Yan, he said that there's absolutely a chance for that. If that's anything to go by, and if Spyro is in this game as part of the whole multiverse plot, okay, that's something to get excited about. But overall, I'm very excited for Crash's first new adventure in over 10 years, as it looks absolutely amazing and exactly the game to appeal to any Crash fan. Heck, there's even a feature to swap between modern and retro playstyles, which handles lives and progression differently. In modern mode, if you lose, you just wind up back at the last checkpoint and that's it. You basically have infinite lives. While retro mode is more like the life system in the Insane trilogy. You lose and run out of lives, you get kicked out of the level, and you have to start the level anew. Other than that, guys, that's going to be about it for today's video. I know I probably didn't get to include every bit of information in this video, but I think I managed to get the vast majority of the information that was announced. But as usual, if I did miss anything, which I'm sure I did, be sure to leave it all down in the comment section below, alongside what you guys think of the game, and are you excited for Crash's next adventure? Will you be picking this up day one? Be sure to leave everything down in the comment section below, and also be sure to stay tuned to the channel for more Crash 4 news, updates, and content coming your way as they happen. Once again, thank you all so much for watching and supporting the channel. I've been Blueknight, and I'll see you guys back here next time. Goodbye!